Reverend Steve, keeping it simple, we're still in Jude, and we're talking about false teachings. And like I said, I was discussing yesterday in the video yesterday that we have to have a foundation of what the scriptures and who the scriptures were written to. That is a huge part. That's why I'm focusing on this. And once you start reading the scriptures like that and understand a little bit of a history, that's a very important part. What was going on in the first century church? What was happening to them? They were being persecuted. Their properties were being taken away. Their women were sold into prostitution. That's how bad it was. You know, when we think about Paul when he was persecuting the church, that's what was happening. Imagine him after that living with that guilt. God must have given him much grace to live with the guilt after raiding people's houses, throwing them in prison, taking away all their. That wasn't all given back to them. Stephen being murdered and them laying the cloaks at his feet, Paul's feet, in the book of Acts. That is that, and God used him. You know, God just knocked Paul off his horse. He didn't have somebody like walk up to him and talk about the gospel. No, I'm going to use that guy. I'm going to use the most hated guy in all of Judea. I'm going to use him. That's quite amazing, right? Think about that. That's beautiful. So let's get into the scripture. So we're talking about Jude. Jude is now he's battling. He wanted to talk about the gospel. He wanted to talk about the good news, but he had to battle what's going on in the church. And many of us today have to do that same battle when we look on the internet or we're looking on TikTok and we see all these teachings from left field. You have to discern all this stuff. You're like, okay, you might sound good. It tickles the ear, like I've been discussing, but we need to run away from it. And that's what Jude is going to be talking about in the chapter and the verses coming forward. So let's get into this. But now I find that I must write about something else, urging you to defend the faith that God has entrusted once for all time to his holy people. I'm sorry, for all time to his holy people. I said that yesterday, right? That's very important. I say this because some ungodly people have wormed their way into your churches saying that God's marvelous grace allows us to live immoral lives. He's addressing the Gnostics. They were worming the ways into the churches and basically trying to pervert them from the purity to devotion to Jesus Christ. Isn't that happening today in the churches? Don't we see that? The name and the clan, these huge, these churches that are size of football stadiums or, hockey stadiums or whatever, concert halls, filled with people just, learning stuff that has nothing to do with the simplicity